So, instead of reading a fairy tale, I thought today I would talk about my experience and journey with depression and anxiety and PTSD. About a couple years ago, I was officially diagnosed with all three, clinical depression, general anxiety disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD as it's called. And by the time this happened, it was pretty much a life or death situation. 2 years prior to getting help, just too many life-altering things had happened. Deaths in the family, getting and losing a job, just being sued by the unemployment people because they said I committed fraud. I mean, just too many things happening too quickly that after a while I just couldn't deal with it anymore. Beyond this, though, I think that depression has always been a problem, as far back as I can remember. My parents divorced when I was really young, about 3.5, 4 years old. And the people who raised me did the best they could. But they really weren't the nurturing type. I grew up on tough love. And as I got older, I started to think that, everything I was feeling wasn't your typical teenage hormones and drama queen bullshit. And my cries for help pretty much went unanswered. And so, after a while, I just tried to hide, swallow, and outwork or outrun everything I was feeling. And by the time I was 28 years old, it all caught up with me. And I realized that I needed help. And if I didn't seek out that help, I was going to die. I relate to the world through stories and analogies. I mean, I'm an English geek after all. And so far, the best analogy I can give you as to what this is like is I am stuck in a maze. And I can't move forward in this maze because blocking my path is this knot the size of a Volkswagen Bug. And to move on, I have to unravel this knot. And the reason the knot is so big is because it's just built up over so many years. And to untie this knot, I have to see how it got tangled in the first place. And I have to pick apart the loose ends and really dig at them. And after I'm done untying the smaller knot, I have to move on to a new one. And sometimes those knots tie themselves up again, and I have to start over. And I've been told that not a lot of people are willing to do that kind of work. And I believe that we always have a choice, but for me, there was very little choice. It's looking at the parts of myself that aren't pretty, downright ugly, and writing the story of what I call my genealogy of dysfunction. Because the people in my life, especially, the people who raised me, I know they did the best they could. But after a while, I just felt like they could have tried harder, and it wasn't enough. And to forgive them, I have to look at how they were raised. And trace that as far back as I can. And in my way, looking at this genealogy of dysfunction, it helps me understand, and it helps me to forgive. But, I've unraveled a good part of this knot, but, I still can't move forward. And I have to take medications to put my mind in a stable enough place to where I can function. Because for so long, the depression was just so bad, I couldn't get out of bed. And I was almost catatonic. And numb. And the worst part about that was when I was younger, my head was a safe place to go. And when things were at their worst, I couldn't even go inside anymore. And that's the part that just, you have a problem when your head is as scary as you perceive the world to be. Maybe even worse. And the medications are not magic. I have bad days too. The difference is my mind is in a stable enough place to where, again, I can function. It's not a roller coaster. And, I'm not getting whiplash from my own mood swings. And my hope is that with enough work and time, I won't have to be on these medications anymore. I'm hoping to get there someday. I'm not there yet, and I know that. But the last couple of months, I have been happy. And part of that is having this outlet, among others, and making new friends. And many of them seem to have gone through the same thing I have. And one thing I've learned from this is that right now, my brain may be a little bit broken, but I'm fixing it. It can be, it can be fixed. It's just going to take time. And beyond this, though, I have nothing to be ashamed about. And I have no problem admitting that, this is what I have. And in my line of work, sometimes I have to tell the people I work with and for, I have these conditions, and for the most part it is controlled, but I will have, every once in a while, I may have a bad moment or a bad day. Just give me a second to compose myself. And in my part of the world, and in many parts of the world, I know that there's still a stigma around mental illness. But I'm hoping that the more we talk about it, and the more people reach out to each other and get help, that the stigma will eventually go away, and we'll start to look at health in a holistic manner, meaning we look at the whole person, both mind and body. Because, we all know, your mind affects so much of your health. And I understand that I'm not unique with respect to mental illness. I understand that. And maybe anybody listening to this, maybe this resonates with you too. I don't know about you, but I take comfort in the fact that I'm not alone. And you're not alone. And if you're struggling, hopefully you have somebody to reach out to. And as idealistic and as hippie-ish as it sounds, if you're listening to this, I may not know you. I may never speak with you. I may never see you. But just know, simply because you're here and you're still here and you refuse to stop fighting for yourself and for your life. You're not alone, and simply because you are, I love you.